You need 5 things.
Yeah.
Try to eat these 5 things.
Super easy things. Prebiotics are food for the gut bacteria. That's like your fiber. First meal of your day, you want to get 30 grams of protein. The second 30 is 30 grams of fiber throughout the day. The third is 3 probiotic foods.
Eat your vegetables no matter what.
Yes.
If you don't know they're organic.
This is something I think everyone can do, is take 2 tablespoons of baking soda in a big pot, like a pot, and just throw your produce in there.
How do you know if you're deficient from magnesium? How do you get it into your diet? Is that a supplement? If so, what supplement do you like?
This is something I've actually changed my positioning on.
Hi everyone, it's Mary Alice Haney.
And Dr. Thais Aliabadi.
We talk to so many women in our SheMD community who are just done. They're doing the workouts, they're eating the right things, but they're still hitting that 3 p.m. wall, dealing with brain fog and feeling like their body is working against them.
As an OBGYN, I see this every single day. Women are told they're just getting older or they're stressed, but the truth is your metabolism is your body's master regulator. You don't need another caffeine fix. You need to support the system that powers you.
That's why we created Ovi. We weren't looking for a quick fix or a miracle pill. We wanted a real doctor-formulated solution for complete metabolic care.
We built Ovi to the Ovi standard. No proprietary blends, no fillers, just clinically studied ingredients. It's designed to help your body manage blood sugar spikes and stay in a steady, high energy state all day long.
And it's the easiest part of my morning. No more giant pill organizers, just one simple ritual.
Real metabolic support isn't a quick fix. It's a phased journey. Give your body 90 days to start, feel, and see the sink.
It's time to get your spark back. Head to ovi.com to start your 90-day metabolic reset today. Use code SheMD at checkout to save 10% off your order. That's ovii.com. Your body will thank you. On today's episode of SheMD, we are so lucky to have Dr. Amy Shah. She's a double board certified allergist and immunologist who studied at some of the really underachieving places like Cornell, Harvard, Columbia. But you had a fork in the road when your own personal health hit a real issue. So I'd love for you to talk to us about that.
Yes. So I think so many of us can relate to that feeling of overwhelm, and your mind is like racing and you can't even hear what someone's saying to you because your mind is like on autopilot, like thinking about the next thing, adrenaline and cortisol and all of those things. Being a doctor is really overwhelming. And so I thought to myself, I got to change something. It wasn't until like a really kind of wake up call happened that I actually started to see my life in a different way.
And what was a wake up call?
So it was one day I was in clinic and I had just become a partner in my practice. And later in the morning, one of my partners came up to me. He's like, hey, can you stay after a little bit after clinic? And we just have a few things to go over, partner meeting. And I thought to myself, oh my God, not today. I had 2 little kids and they were at karate and they were going to need a pickup at 5 o'clock. Like I have to run and I have to go get them and the center closes. But in the words that came out of my mouth was like, okay, yes, sure. Because I didn't want to let them down. So I raced through the day. I went through all the patients and my heart was like pounding. And we do this meeting. And in the meeting, I'm like, I can barely see straight or like even hear them because I'm like thinking to myself, like, oh my God, I gotta go. And finally the meeting ends and I'm late. Like I'm going to be late. I get in my car and I'm like, if I just go really fast, I could probably make it. And as I was turning to go to the center, I got in a huge multi-car accident. All the glass is on me. All the airbags are off. Luckily, my parents showed up there and they were taking care of the kids. But in that moment, I thought to myself, what am I doing? Like, I don't like how I feel. I don't like what I'm doing every day. I don't like how I am as a mom, as a person, as a partner, as a friend. And so that was my wake up call to really say, like, I got to do something. And
Something's got to change.
Yeah. I had a couple of days of chaos, dealing with everything that you deal with. It was not catastrophic in the way it could have been. And so I just said to myself, like, I need to heal myself from inside out. I was just kind of looking for something to give me a new life after this accident. I started to eat better, and then I started to get more sunlight, and I started to walk more. And then I started to like write about the things that I was doing, because I knew about that gut brain connection and the gut hormone connection. And then I started writing about it, like little pieces that I would write in between patients or after work. And that's how I actually started all of this. And I would just do that on the side for many, many years. I would submit like a blog post a week or every 2 weeks or something. And then one time, Mind Body Green, which was the place I submitted my blogs most often, they said, hey, we're having a writers conference, like just for the like people, contributors of our site. It's like 100 people in wellness. So I go there and I had like chills, like goosebumps while I was there. I was like, I mean, this is it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the path that I'm supposed to be going on. And so I started to share on social media, and that was like it grew really fast, and there was so much interest in how does nutrition play into our bodies, and how does this all play into longevity and women's health and perimenopause and all of that stuff. And so that's really how I kind of got into the space.
Can you teach us about gut health?
Yes.
There's so much misinformation.
There's so much misinformation, and people don't know how important gut health is and how so many conditions are associated with our guts.
We really want to know. So let's start with the gut, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yes. So like, we have been neglecting this entire universe of organisms that live in our gut that not only determine our hormones, but it determines our brain health. It determines our metabolism. It determines our longevity, like so many things. When I was in immunology fellowship at Columbia, I remember us talking all the time about how the immune system and the gut and the hormones and the brain would all talk together, and the microbiome. Like, that's how our body makes decisions. And when you think about it from that way, it becomes so much easier to know what to do. So the things that I talk about is like, hey, how do we nurture this entire microbiome so that it can help us? It can communicate better. It can make these decisions better.
What are the basic things that you can do to heal your gut?
So I think one thing I think is obvious is like, I think we use antibiotics very too easily in our world. We're taking antibiotics for acne, or they're taking it for maybe an infection that's not an infection, like just in case, like you have a cold. And so that's number one. The other thing that's killing our gut bacteria is our gut bacteria need food, and they're starving to death. And mostly it's because of the food that we eat. That's like a huge contributor, because our gut bacteria need fiber to survive. They need like other things like polyphenols, and they need all these other omega-3s are great too. But fiber is their main food. And because what happens is when you eat something with fiber, let's just take blueberries. Berries have great fiber. So that you eat the berries, your body absorbs the vitamins from the berries, and then the bacteria get to eat the fiber that's left. That's their food. And so when you're eating fast food and they don't have any fiber, or they have very little. So what happens is the calories get absorbed, and then there's nothing left. And these gut bacteria are starving. And I'm not like saying that this is like a portion of the population. 95% of Americans are not eating even the baseline adequate levels of fiber.
I don't think I am. Honestly. So tell us, what are the foods that have the most fiber? So if you're listening right now and you're like, I know I'm not getting enough fiber. If you need 5 things, try to eat these 5 things. Super
easy things. I love berries. I think everybody could easily get berries.
Have fiber?
Berries are a high source of fiber.
So blueberry, blackberry, they're all the same.
Yes, they have there's great source of fiber. Avocado is a great source of fiber. Fruits like apples and kiwis. Kiwi fruit actually is like an amazing source of fiber. If you eat the skin, especially because the skin adds to the fiber content, it's like 50% more fiber by eating the skin. You can eat it like an apple. So fruit with its peel that has fiber on it. And then, of course, there's the typical things you think of with fiber, like, oats is a great source of fiber. Leafy greens is the most amazing source of fiber because they're like They're very low in calories, but really high in fiber.
That's all I eat.
Yeah. And so kale is the same as lettuce is the same as.
No, I mean, of course, something like a kale is better than iceberg lettuce because there's more fiber in it.
Okay.
But I would say that for most of us, including ourselves, like if we just concentrate on getting more seeds and nuts and leafy greens and berries and avocados and fruit, we would be getting to that level.
And what nuts are the best?
So all nuts are great, but if you had to pick like the one that's maybe is probably walnuts because it has a higher level of omega-3s, and that's really great for our brain. So one of the mnemonics that I give to people, especially for women, is 30-33.
Yeah. So talk about that because I love this whole idea.
Yeah. So first meal of your day, you want to get 30 grams of protein. That's the first 30. The second 30 is 30 grams of fiber throughout the day. The third is 3 probiotic foods. So 30 grams of protein in your first meal, 30 grams of fiber throughout the day, and 3 probiotic foods every single day. And what probiotic foods do is they actually give your gut bacteria other bacteria. So it adds to the bacterial count in our gut because we are on average killing our gut bacteria over time.
Give us an example, 30-33.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So in the morning, you might have an egg scramble with veggies and a side of cottage cheese and maybe some berries on the cottage cheese. That's 30 grams of protein right there.
What else?
Greek yogurt has like 15 grams of protein, a half cup. And then you make a parfait. You can add things
berries
to it. Yeah, berries. Or you can have a tofu scramble or a smoothie, with protein powder, 20 grams of protein right there. You can have
bacon.
No.
There's a lot of things that you can actually have that have 30 grams of protein. And when I say 30 grams of protein in the morning, the reason I say that is that not only does it set yourself up for a better day, because whatever you choose in the morning kind of helps you make better decisions throughout the day, but it helps with cravings. So protein will help with cravings. Protein helps your gut. And protein metabolically obviously helps you balance your blood sugar and helps with lean muscle mass building, especially as you get older. At least start with that and then try to eat healthy the rest of the day.
Which protein powders do you recommend?
So if you're doing a plant-based protein powder, you definitely want to get it third-party tested, like one that's third-party tested for heavy metals. You basically have to go to brands that you trust and that have third-party testing. I like whey and I like microfiltered whey because it's better on the people, lactose intolerant people. And the reason why it's the closest to source. So remember, protein powders can be ultra processed food too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so you really don't want to.
Isn't it always better to eat the food?
It's always better. Yeah. If you can have your egg scramble or you can have your parfait or you can have your tofu scramble, like I would much rather you eat it. But we all know life happens and you can do a smoothie.
Are there certain brands you recommend?
I don't have one that I think is the end all be all. If for plant proteins, I do like the things that have third party testing, like Vani Hari has like the Truvani and they have third party testing. Transparent Labs is a good one because they are really say exactly what's on the label. Also Perfect Amino because of their the amino acid profile is really
perfect.
A full amino acid. So you really absorb it better without all of that extra stuff. And so those are some of my go-tos, but I prefer food first.
Right.
People have a love-hate relationship with cottage cheese, but cottage cheese has great amounts of protein. And so does Greek yogurt. So Greek yogurt is different from regular yogurt because not only is it probiotic, it is strained. And so you get 15 grams of protein in one serving instead of like 7 or 8 in a typical yogurt.
Which brand of Greek yogurt do you like?
So I do the Faye, the one that is very typical because I think it's easy to find. Most people can find it. It's like the one it's either 2% or 4%. And for probiotic cottage cheese, I like Nancy's or Good Culture because those are both brands that have probiotics in them. And so not only are you getting your protein, but you're getting that one serving of probiotic foods for your day.
Got it.
And so you can knock that out right there.
We got the first 30, and the next 30 is what?
Is the 30 grams of fiber.
Okay.
So that is your fruits and your vegetables, your seeds and your nuts, and the avocados that we talked about. You can supplement with a little bit of inulin fiber if you want. I again think most days I'm just trying to eat. If you eat something with fiber at every meal, you will get there.
You will. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the berries in the morning, and
yes,
then the avocado
and then
maybe for lunch on your
and
salad.
you have a salad, and then you have greens or whatever veggies,
So maybe I am eating enough fiber.
That's all I eat.
Yeah.
I eat salads
well, that's
with
good for your
different
gut.
vegetables.
Okay, so then
the third thing is the 3 probiotic foods. So again, like I told you, if you had the Greek yogurt and the cottage cheese in the morning, you're done with at least one serving. And 3 means like you want different sources, right? So like our gut bacteria like lactobacillus, but they also like, other types of bacteria. So if you eat, say kimchi, sauerkraut, even raw apple cider vinegar in your dressing, those are miso, tempeh, kefir, which is a fermented yogurt.
I have kefir in the morning.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's only one.
And then that nowadays, I'm so thankful that we can go to our grocery store and there's an entire refrigerated area of like probiotic vegetables and probiotic drinks and probiotics. So kombucha is one of them, but just watch the sugar content. I really love this, like a fermented coconut water that's like Go Gut This is like the brand. It's just like a jar, and you just have to have a one serving is 1 spoon. And it tastes like coconut water that's a little bit fermented. I'm going to get that.
Because I could do that twice and then have 2 of them.
Yeah. Or you could put apple cider vinegar.
Or I'll do it 3 times.
We'll go 1, 2, 3.
Or you could have like a glass of water with apple cider vinegar and there's 1,
So that's why my daughter has a spoon of apple cider vinegar every morning.
Well, as you know, apple cider vinegar has many, many different uses. Apple cider vinegar is a great blood sugar management tool. And then the other benefit is that it's probiotic and works like a probiotic.
I'm totally going to do that.
The raw with the mother.
The raw with the mother.
Yeah. And then you can add it to your dressing.
What do you mean the raw with the mother?
So, apple cider vinegar can be filtered.
Right.
Or it can be raw.
But what's the with the mother?
The mother is the fermented part of it.
Oh, I see.
You see that sediment at the bottom.
I thought it was a brand.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never.
It's like little. Like,
got it. Yes.
So let's talk about 2 things. Probiotics and prebiotics. What do you think about those?
Yeah.
And do we need them if we're following your 30-33 rule?
Okay, that's a great question. So
that's a great question.
So because I want to do the 3 spoons and be done.
Yeah. Prebiotics are food for the gut bacteria. That's like your fiber.
Okay.
So prebiotic foods, especially healthy prebiotics like asparagus and leeks, and there's certain foods that have the highest number of fibers that the bacteria can eat.
And what are those?
And that's like asparagus, jicama, artichoke.
I have artichoke 3 times a week.
There you go.
You need both prebiotic and probiotic.
Yes.
Right?
So prebiotics are basically anything that your gut bacteria, so any of those fiber foods I talked about, but you don't necessarily need just those particular like foods. It's just high fiber foods that are going to support your gut. That's more important because you really want to grow the gut bacterial community that you already have, rather than adding a bunch of probiotics to it because you don't know if they're going to even stay. Our body's very good at killing probiotics. And so when we're taking a pill, it's very easy for the body to just destroy it.
Even in the stomach, right?
Yeah.
Before it gets to your gut.
Yeah, that's why the probiotic industry, it's so difficult. So there's certain brands like, for example, like Metagenics is a good brand because they check for the viability of it getting to the colon where it needs to go and has coating on it. And it's, it's especially formulated because they know this. But if you go to Amazon and you just buy probiotic, you're basically throwing money down the drain. And so most experts say with the fiber, the prebiotics, and eating a better diet, and like that will make your microbiome really healthy. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, now the probiotics are working. Now, I'm able to eat dairy and gluten and I never could. Oh, like I was bloated all the time. I didn't realize it. Now I'm, better. We have now good data that it can even change your personality and your mood symptoms like anxiety, depression, and even athletic prowess.
I just have a question. For patients who suffer from SIBO, which is so common right now, we see it in patients with thyroid.
Yes.
I see it all the time with endometriosis. I see it with PCOS patients, especially with endometriosis. One thing I've noticed over the years is that unless you fix their underlying condition, which is the inflammation from endometriosis, they can't get rid of this SIBO. So let's say you suppress their endometriosis and they have SIBO. Can you tell us about the low FODMAP diet?
There are fermentable sugars in fruits and certain foods that are really irritating to the gut. So any kind of elimination diet is what I recommend for anytime people have gut issues in general. It's because if you eliminate the foods that are causing the issues, let the inflammation calm down, then reintroduce it. Because as you know, a FODMAP diet, if people don't know, it's a restrictive diet. It excludes a lot of the foods that you would eat, out at restaurants or.
Can you give us examples?
Yeah, it's like a lot of fruits are on there. There's like a lot of dairy,
alcohol, caffeine,
like everything. It's a very temporary, and to get rid of some of that inflammation that you're talking about, and then you can add that back in. And I think my biggest thought also, by the way, with the endometriosis and the SIBO together, the reason why they all come together so much is that inflammation is what ties them. Right. And so when you lower the inflammation through treating the endometriosis and treating and eating a better diet, for example, you're starting to lower the inflammation level for both. Your gut health is so intimately linked to your hormone health that every single person coming in with a hormonal issue, we should be addressing their gut.
100%. 100%. I'm glad you said this.
Yeah.
We talked about PCOS yesterday, and you know how these patients have all these gut issues, or they get diagnosed with IBS, they get colonoscopies, endo patients.
Yes.
Every other one comes in, I've had a colonoscopy, I have had this. It's none of that. It's the inflammation in your pelvis that's causing a leaky gut.
Yes.
But you have to fix the underlying condition. Look for hormone changes. And I always say it becomes a vicious cycle because, for example, for PCOS patients, insulin resistance makes you have this leaky gut.
Yes.
It changes your hormones.
Yes.
It affects your gut motility. And in return, when you have a leaky gut, your inflammation goes up, your androgen secretions go up, you become more insulin resistant.
Like one thing is causing the other. So if you're like someone who's even at home and you're like, how do I improve my hormones? You start with your gut health, and like vice versa. Like, how do you improve your gut health? Like, make sure you don't have some crazy hormone issue that you're not addressing. So I think it's like they go together.
And I want to add one thing because because for patients who don't know what SIBO is, some of the common symptoms, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, some of the common symptom is, besides bloating, is fatigue, brain fog, weight gain, feeling nauseous. They just don't feel well. And, you know, it's so non-specific. It's like, oh, I'm allergic to this food. But really, it's your gut microbiome that's being affected. So if you're tired, if you're gaining weight, if you're bloated, if bloating is an issue for you, then make sure you don't have SIBO.
And there's a test for SIBO.
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily have to have the test, because sometimes some doctors will say if you have all these symptoms, they treat you anyways.
But SIBO is not the only gut issue.
No.
So that's something you have to figure out.
But
also.
SIBO is very common.
Okay, so it's the most common.
Irritable bowel syndrome is the overarching kind of, you'd say it's extremely common. The problem is that our society, the way we eat and the way we live is really not supporting that gut microbiome. So IBS is literally like your gut microbiome is irritated. They need food, they need sunlight, they need sleep. So what happens is, as you're healing yourself from SIBO by normal things that you would do, right? But you will not be able to tolerate the amount of fiber, prebiotics, probiotics that you would if you didn't have it, because your body's not able to process that fiber in the right way. And so you can have it, but you can't have it in this huge amount.
That's why the FODMAP diet is almost no fiber.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to heal.
Right.
It's like trying to train when you're injured. You know, like you're trying to grow your muscles when you have a big
broken arm.
And also remember that you can't go from 5 grams of fiber to 30 in one day. Your body will talk to you. It will say you will have gas and you will have, for example, I'll give you the best example. A bowl of raw broccoli. Have you guys ever eaten a bowl of raw broccoli?
No,
it doesn't,
because that doesn't sound good.
That does, and your gut is going to be like
exploding.
Yeah. And most people can say raw vegetables, especially cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. If you're not used to eating fiber, your gut's going to be like, whoa.
That happened to me once. I went to a raw food restaurant and I literally almost did not make it home.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, my body went, no.
Yes.
You think, oh, I'm doing all these healthy things for myself, but you're right. I love that analogy. It's like we're trying to work out with a broken arm.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
PCOS and endometriosis, I see a lot of gut dysbiosis with both of them because of the hormones, because of the inflammation, because of all of that. When you have a patient, let's say with endometriosis who has SIBO, which is very common in my practice, I would say like 85% of my endometriosis patients suffer from SIBO. Besides treating them with antibiotics like Xifaxan, I have 2 questions. A, when you take Xifaxan to treat SIBO, does it affect your other gut microbiome?
Yes.
Number 1. And number 2, is there a way to treat the SIBO in these groups of patients without giving them Xifaxan?
So as you know, with endometriosis or PCOS, there's people on the spectrum where it's very mild or moderate, where dietary changes actually will do the trick. Meaning their diet has been so bad for so long that if you just switch them to a higher nutrient quality diet with less of those processed foods, less of that junk, all of a sudden their dysbiosis by itself starts to get better. But there are people who've already done that, who've tried, and they're on the very other end of the spectrum where nothing is dietary can work. A lot of that starts because that hormonal milieu of endometriosis mixes with that poor diet and lifestyle.
Right.
And that's what caused the problem. So when you fix the lifestyle and the diet, sometimes it just fixes itself.
Right.
And so it's something that you can definitely, and depending on the person, you might want to try that first, or you might want to try that with the treatment. But yes, the problem with SIBO is like you're then giving antibiotics. So once you're healed from that, then you're starting from like a kind of a scratch from healing.
When I prescribe antibiotics, I always tell, my patients maybe take probiotics with it. When you're taking antibiotics, let's say for a bladder infection, can you change your diet without having to do probiotics? The reason I say is someone like me, when I take probiotics, I get so nauseous to a point that I have to take a Zofran. So it's not sustainable for me, at least the ones I've tried. And so is there a way to change your diet while you're on antibiotics to, reverse the effects of the antibiotics on your gut?
Yes, absolutely. When you're taking a probiotic and you're taking an antibiotic, it's not necessarily helping. And there has been a couple of cases where it has hurt the process. We need more research to know.
I see. So changing your diet is more important.
I have one child that's always on antibiotics. And I'm constantly like, you have to take a probiotic. So what do I do for this child? Is it, and by the way, we have in my refrigerator, we have probably 10 different probiotics. And some days, again, you know me, some days I'm like, I'll take that one, that one, that one, that one. I have no idea if they're working because it's so confusing. So just to totally simplify this.
Okay. So the problem with antibiotics, as you know, they don't just kill the bad bacteria, they're killing all the bacteria. So number one is, do you need to use systemic antibiotics? That's my question. So first thing is, if you can do local, that's better because then it kills the bacteria on the site. Because when you take it by mouth, then it's
killing everything along the way.
The more you can be localized and not have to kind of atomic bomb your entire system, the better. And then the second thing is supportive care. And what does supportive care mean? That means sleeping well. That means eating real foods, not ultra processed foods, less sugar, less, junk, right? So I'm not saying probiotics will not help in that situation, but you want to be doing all the things. So supportive care, good nutrition, good sleep, good exercise, sunlight. Gut bacteria love when you exercise. They love when you get sun in the day, dark at night. They love when you eat really clean foods that they can recognize. With probiotics, you really do have to kind of do the research to know which ones. Like, for example, there's a probiotic called from Pendulum that has Akkermansia.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Akkermansia.
And Akkermansia is really, really now known to be a way to support your own GLP-1. You know, so if you're someone who is on a weight loss journey, or you're trying to heal your metabolic, you might want to pick that one because that's a really nice one for that. But there's, I would say it's not like you're just going to take probiotics and you can
and eat McDonald's every day. Like it's kind of
it's almost like the other extreme. Like I would say that if you were going to exercise every day and you're going to get good sleep, manage your nervous system and eat really good diet and hydrate, that's going to be the best thing that you can do for your gut. Okay. And then of course, eating probiotic foods and is another thing. But like the problem with the probiotic industry is that a lot of people believe that they can just take a probiotic
and that's it.
And that's it. And I think gut health is so much more than just eating a probiotic. It's like that whole system.
You don't need a fridge full of them.
I have 5, literally. Now, a normal person that doesn't have SIBO or anything else, what do you recommend?
Yeah, normal person who doesn't have SIBO, you would do the 30-33.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would, you could be a little more aggressive. Maybe, maybe you're having very little fiber wherever you stand. Like say you do MyFitnessPal and you find out how much fiber you're having in a day and you're like, oh, I'm only having 20 grams. Like you could go up to 30 and you'd be fine.
Can you talk about organic versus non-organic when it comes to gut health?
Oh my gosh. So this is something I've actually changed my positioning on. Of course, like everyone else, I was always like, you have to have organic, like organic. And then I started to learn that organic in general doesn't really mean anything. Organic, you can still use pesticides. And what a lot of farmers say is that they can't afford the organic certification because it's like this big business, right? And so what I've learned, and everybody can make their own decision, but this is what I'm doing for my family. Is like when I can afford it and when I can find it, I'll do organic. However, that is not going to stop me from eating vegetables, eating fruit whenever I want it. So if I'm out, I'm traveling, I'm, whatever, I will have fruits and vegetables, even if it's not organic. And like the more you can go to farmers markets, local is the best. And a lot of farmers will be very clear about, what they use.
I love what you're saying. Eat your vegetables no matter what.
Yes.
If you don't know they're organic, they're still good for you.
So say you're at a restaurant and you're ordering a salad.
Yeah.
How do you don't know if it's they use all organic vegetables, but I'd rather you eat a salad.
Right. Than not have it at all.
Than have French fries.
Yes, exactly.
It's the best of the best of the best is to go to a farmer's market and try to eat locally produced.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I hate to say you still don't know.
You still don't. So I've started to do this. That the best way to wash your fruits and vegetables, this is something I think everyone can do, is take 2 tablespoons of baking soda in a big pot, like a pot or whatever, and just throw your produce in there. And
with water.
Like
for how long?
15 minutes. And then just drain the water and you're done. Washing vegetables and fruits, but rubbing them is a great way to get pets. So wash with a rub, and then if you add the soak to it, you're up to 95% of pesticides.
Even lettuce?
Even lettuce.
Okay.
That's great. That's
95% of pesticides.
Okay. Magnesium.
Yes.
You talk about magnesium and how most of us are deficient. How do you know if you're deficient from magnesium? How do you get it into your diet? Is that a supplement? If so, what supplement do you like?
I love
magnesium.
I love magnesium. Actually, the way it changed my life was one of my best friends is an OBGYN and I was having bad PMS symptoms and we were in yoga and she was like, yeah, a lot of people take magnesium before their periods, it helps. And so I had started it like years ago, right before my period. And then I saw the data on higher magnesium diets. There was a huge difference in their brain health, and especially in women. That doesn't even need to be a supplement. It can just be through your foods. So seeds and nuts, again, are huge, very good magnesium rich foods. You can get magnesium in higher amounts in your diet, and then you can actually improve your brain health over time.
So tell us some foods that have high magnesium.
Leafy greens, seeds and nuts, dark chocolate. The lucky thing about magnesium is that a lot of the foods that I talked about with fiber, like I'm saying the same foods for magnesium. When you're eating a diet with the 30-33, you're starting to eat more fruits and vegetables, and you're automatically getting more magnesium, nuts and seeds. And, and
what kinds of nuts and seeds?
So pumpkin seeds are an amazing source of magnesium. But really, like magnesium is found in most seeds and nuts.
And how much should you eat a day?
So 550 milligrams is the recommendation for a day. So that's both food and supplementation together.
But if you think I'm not getting enough magnesium, what's the best supplement that you
Magnesium glycinate. Okay. So magnesium glycinate is a magnesium bound to glycine. This is something that will help reduce cortisol, that can help with relaxation before sleep. It's great for women in perimenopause.
And what brand do you like?
Oh, that's a great question. There's so many good brands of magnesium glycinate. What is the one that I have? I think I have Nature's Bounty magnesium glycinate. Thorn has a good one.
Okay. But you can, so that's
a very common one you can get.
That's a good supplement to do.
And you want to
try to eat foods and maybe take the supplement as well.
You know, I recommend magnesium all the time to my patients. And I say you want to take, if you want to supplement it, you want to do it before bedtime. And there are two forms of magnesium. Magnesium threonate is the form that crosses the blood-brain barrier. So for people who are anxious and stressed out, you want to take that at night, and it calms your mind. It helps with anxiety. If you want to pick one magnesium that that relaxes your muscles and just relaxes your body, I would say magnesium glycinate. What I do, I take a combination of glycinate and threonate at night. It really
in one pill?
No, separately.
Two separate, yeah.
I take 200 and 200.
Yes.
You cannot overdose on magnesium.
Yeah.
Some patients can have loose stools with magnesium.
Well, that'd be great for me.
So take it at night.
But you can take magnesium citrate if you want if you take some magnesium citrate at night along with your glycinate or the threonate, you will fix that problem. Because I often, when I travel, especially I'm traveling right now, I always take the citrate at night.
That's a good one. But I always say for perimenopausal women, menopausal women, people who are stressed out, they're not sleeping, always start with magnesium. For anxiety, add threonate. For general magnesium, I love threonate and glycinate together at night.
So and when do you start taking them? Can you give is it too early to start on your children?
Give it to your kids.
You can.
So doing a combination or if you were just doing one, you'd probably do the glycinate. It's easier to find. It's less expensive, but definitely the threonate is great for crossing that blood-brain barrier. And then the citrate is great for women who have constipation issues.
Magnesium is just a golden, amazing thing. I love what you said too. You said the laziest way to build your brain health that costs you nothing, go for a walk. It actually grows the area of your brain called the hippocampus.
Yes. And it's not just for exercise. It's actually for your brain. Studies show that those people who are walking regularly, only like 40 minutes, 3 times a week, it's growing a region of your brain called the hippocampus. When you're moving around, your brain knows to make new connections, new brain cells. How amazing is that? Because as we age, our brain shrinks.
Everyone can do that.
I wish walking around my office would do this.
I know. You know what you need to do?
Tell me.
This is what I do. When you have a break, even if it's 10 minutes, maybe you may not get a full lunch.
I don't get 10 minutes.
But maybe you have 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah, I do.
You have a phone call. Yes. You have to be on the call with some doctor or some hospital. You go outside and you take that call. You walk around.
It'll change you.
Even for 2, 5, 10 minutes. And say you're like, hey, I have a no show, a couple minutes. I'm going to go outside. Just make it a habit to just walk out. Whenever you have a minute, just walk out and be like, I'll be right back. Go as if you're going to the bathroom.
Getting sunshine.
Yeah.
So you have been amazing. This is awesome. I want you to tell us, for every woman listening, and maybe we've got some men too, love you guys. Top 5 things that you tell every woman to do
Okay, top 5 things. Number 1, let's start with nutrition because that's easiest. Let's do the 30-33. That's number 1.
That's easy. 30,
Yeah.
33.
Number 2 would be the magnesium. Number 3, I like omega-3s also in your food or as supplementation. And then I like vitamin D because as you know, most people, even if you're getting enough sun, but in general, I like vitamin D and I think you should supplement to get the levels in a place that makes sense. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't say exercise is my top, like 5th thing, because exercise, there's nothing better than exercise for your
Any
brain.
kind of exercise.
Well,
Move your body. Just move your body.
My favorites are walking because of these studies about brain health and also nature, you know, so I love walking. And then for women, 35 plus, especially weight training 2 to 3 times a week.
Before we let you go, 5 foods.
Yes.
Your top 5 foods to eat. What would they be?
Okay. My favorites are blueberries because they have high levels of anthocyanins and the fiber, and they actually boost brain health even with 1 serving, by the way.
I eat them every day.
Number 2, I would say eggs. I love the combination of protein and choline that you can get from the yolk. And so, and they've been taken off of the bad food list from even the American Heart Association. Now it's included in a healthy heart diet.
Okay.
I love nuts because of all those micronutrients that we talked about and the fiber, walnuts for brain health, almonds, and then Brazil nuts for thyroid health, selenium levels, and then pumpkin. So seeds and nuts. Yeah. And then my 4th favorite foods, leafy greens. They're like literally the most nutrient dense foods you can eat in your life. It can really improve your gut health in ways. And then the 5th would be probiotic foods because we need more probiotic foods in our life.
And you have 2 books where people can go to really sort of learn about everything that you're doing. And I love the titles. I'm so effing tired and I'm so effing hungry. So one of them is about sleep.
Yes.
And then one of them is about food. So people can buy your books and
learn more.
Learn more.
I have a new one coming out in early 2026, which I'll talk about soon, but around the same exact topics that we all just talked about.
Okay, great. And how can people find you?
So I'm at amymdwellness.com or I'm on social media. I'm really on Instagram all the time at Dr. Amy Shah.
I just have to say, I love a podcast when I'm taking notes as I'm listening.
Love it.
I'm like, okay.
And you're going to go home and we're going to do all that.
Yes.
Apple cider vinegar.
But you need to tell me too. You should be like, because it only takes 3 days to change your gut. So by like next week, if you do it every day, you should be like, what's better?
Wow.
I'm going to do it on social media. I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to let you know.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm
so
so
nice
happy
to
you
meet
came.
you.
And this is so informative. And it's,
and thank you for making such a difference. And thank you for bringing so much knowledge to gut health.
Yes.
And I think it's the most important organ that's completely dismissed.
Completely dismissed.
Completely.
I'm so thankful because we had such an amazing conversation. You guys are making such a difference. So thank you.
It takes a village of women. So thank you for coming.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for joining us today on SheMD.
If you want to own your own health, a good place to start is by following us on social media at SheMD Podcast and by subscribing to our show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
For takeaways from today's episode, visit our website, shemdpodcast.com. We'll see you next time on SheMD. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for a physician's medical advice. You should regularly consult your medical provider in matters relating to your own health. Even though we share our honest beliefs on SheMD, some of the products and services we discuss may involve sponsorships or paid advertising.